Hey, I just want to talk to you today about the M4 Maths project that we've been involved with. From the primary schools, if you don't know, the M4 is English and Maths in Stage 4, so we're really concentrating on Stage 4 there. We've been working in the maths with Peter Sullivan. First thing I want to do is look at what the professional learning that I encountered and what the power was there. And as I said, we worked with Peter Sullivan this year from Monash University. Peter is fantastic. He's one of the driving forces of the national curriculum. So his main work that we've been working with is the book there called Teaching Mathematics Using Research-Informed Strategies. That's available for download from ASA. It's free, so if you want to have a look at that one, I encourage you to have a look because it can be used in the primary schools as well as the secondary. As the name suggests, we're concentrating on looking at the Stage 4 mathematics curriculum. In particular, the topics of fractions, decimals, algebra, data and measurement. They were the ones that highlighted really from the data from NAPLAN and other sources that shows that that's where the kids are falling down. And not just in Stage 4, but right the way through to even Extension 2 students still have some troubles and understandings there. So we're trying to aim to implement 5 strands of desirable mathematics actions for students. And that's conceptual understanding, procedural fluency, strategic competence, adaptive reasoning and productive disposition. You'll see them as what we have there in the syllabus as understanding, fluency, problem solving and reasoning. That's how they'll look there, but really it's a bit more deeper than that. The power of the professional learning that we did with Peter was that we actually used a lot of the lessons he's developed. So we actually took them into the classroom, but also we started creating our own lessons. We were supporting, what he wanted us to really do, supported us in creating what we call a balanced diet. So it's not, if you remember your own mathematics lessons at school, they're pretty much, here's a couple of examples, have a practice there, do a couple more in class, then go home and do the homework and see how you go and try and work it out the next day. A lot of people still come to me and go, yes, that's why I hate mathematics. So the idea is to get away from that idea but create that balanced diet. We need to, and as I said, the data tells us we need to do more in the classroom and vary our teaching strategies. One of the main examples we used was to create lessons that included more open-ended questions. Not just, and people are going, well, that's not new, but the idea was that have situations where students are encouraged to give more than one solution. Also, the lessons can be differentiated, so the differentiation comes about by creating what we call enabling prompts. And I can give you some examples in a moment of this one. If it's needed, so if the kids don't need it, it's fine. But also having extending prompts and consolidation tasks. So it's a whole process involved there. As I said, Peter encouraged us to think about it in a different way. We received the theory of his research, but we actually saw it in action from Peter's demonstrations. We had an actual academic who was teaching students, so it was amazing. Don't usually see that. We also took this theory to our own classroom. So we went and practiced. We set lessons, we had set lessons to create, to follow, then we created our own lessons, we observed others, we worked collaboratively. And then we got to go and share that experience with the M4 community, which was also have a great power to that professional learning. The impact of me as a teacher, well, really I saw more collaboration in the staff. Not just the maths staff at school, but also the maths staff from the M4 community. And it is really becoming a community. We have our own group on Google, and there's lots of sharing and understanding that's going on there. I also got braver as a teacher. Now, I don't think I'm a shrinking violet in the classroom. I've used flipped classrooms for about 4 years now. Lots of social media, interactive whiteboards. We've introduced PBL at St Paul's this year in Year 7 Maths. But I got braver to ask different types of questions, and this is an example of one I gave to my Year 7 class in the first week of doing algebra this year. They had not been taught any concepts about adding or subtracting like terms, but I put this question up to them. And it gives you an example of an enabling prompt. So the enabling prompt there, very much simpler type of question, But it was one that most students needed in that case, because all they'd done is basic vocabulary around algebra. But what they did, once they got that enabling prompt, a number of them ran with it. They were able to go through and answer a question in a number of ways, and a lot of creative ways as well, which was really encouraging. Then enabled me to go to the enabling prompts. So that's an example of what we were doing there. The enabling prompts and then extending prompts. So taking the kids a little bit further, and not every kid gets to an extending prompt, and we don't expect them to all be at that same point at that time. But a number of them are able to go, and you're able to give them that opportunity. And then I asked myself the last question there, why wasn't I doing this sooner? You just know when something's working. It simply comes down to that. And the impact on the students. So the professional learning, where did it take for the students? Well, obviously they got that, they were exposed in my classroom and the classroom of my colleagues to those different ways of learning. What we do is we have that emphasis on trying hard. It's not always about correct answers. It's not about correct solutions. It's about that idea that we work hard and to the best of our ability every time. We celebrated success. We also celebrated errors. Errors are a way to learn. So it's not a problem if they do get something wrong. We try to create that safe environment. And a lot of students were encouraged by that. We used a term called the zone of confusion. Now, if you haven't heard that from your M4 colleagues, ask them about it. But that's what we're doing, and a lot of people are using this, and students are using this idea. It's okay to be confused. And a lot of students need that encouragement, and a lot of time they don't like to be confused. They want to get that correct answer. But the idea was that we create that zone of confusion in the classroom. And our kids will talk about that. Now, they'll come into a maths class and they'll ask, oh, are we going to be in a zone of confusion today? And it's encouraging that they have that expectation, because they know that they can learn from that. It's not a case that they're not going to get anything out of it once they go into that zone of confusion. They know they can come out of it. Because they're dealing with other things such as our 4 before me, other techniques that we're using, 4 before me, I haven't got time to go on into that one now, but again, that's something we've been using in M4. But they use things to get unstuck, and that's what we're trying to use with the M4 project. How do they get themselves unstuck? The idea here is that we help our students become more independent learners. That's our overall aim. We're seeing that. The greatest examples that I've been seeing is that the students that you know that will struggle. You've seen the data on, you know when you've done the testing, you know they're still struggling when they come into Year 7 at mathematics. But when they go into the classroom and do these activities, they keep trying. They might only get one solution, where other students are getting 2, 3, 5, 10 solutions. But when you see that one kid keep trying the whole lesson and get that one solution, they've made a breakthrough, and I think that's the power that we're seeing in the M4 project this year. Thank you.